Howdy folks, it's Glenn with the Cactus Atlas, and today we're going to be seeking out petrified wood at Petrified Forest National Park, possibly one of my favorite national parks of all time. Let's get in there and check it out. So when you think of the petrified forest, you think of petrified wood, right? So there's actually two entrances into the park. One is the entrance by the Painted Desert, which is right off of Interstate 40. That's not where we're beginning today. We're starting over here by the Rainbow Forest Museum. This is really where the namesake petrified logs really are in their densest, and you're gonna see a lot of them over here. This is always my preferred entrance to start my journeys when I come to visit here. One thing that's really hard to imagine today when you look out at the desert, such a dry, barren place. But back when all the stuff we're gonna see here today was formed, it was a very subtropical, moist environment, like this little picture shows. This was the late Triassic period, a time before like the dinosaurs that you know today. Maybe the beginning of dinosaurs. Okay, so right behind the museum is something known as the Giant Logs Trail, one of my favorite areas in here. So let's start to unpack what this all means. It's such a barren, lonely landscape in my opinion. Evidence that life was teeming at some point in history. After all, where did all these logs come from? Why are they here now in this barren desert? You don't see trees out here, do you? Mm-mm. As you start to inspect closer, you start to notice all this detail. You can actually see the bark on a 200 million year old tree. How the heck? And as you explore, you're going to come across entire segments of tree trunk. Tall trees. These were sizable trees. Bigger than most that we find in Arizona today out in the desert. So what's actually going on here? Surely this can't be real wood, could it? From 200 million years ago? Let's pause right there. What's your answer? Well, I'm here to tell you that is not real wood anymore. This here is a fossilized tree. In essence, it's rock. Surely you must be thinking, Glenn, come on, this is real. This looks real. I mean, this one over here especially, look at that detail. You really see the bark, don't you? It's hard to believe. It really is, especially there's some other specimens in the park that we'll seek out later that really make you wonder, but yeah, this is just rock. But surely, Glenn, with all this detail, it's gotta be real, right? To really start to understand how this happened and why this is here, 200 million years ago, we didn't have the separate continents we had today. We had something called Pangea, a supercontinent, and where the Arizona was located at that time was right on the coast of an ocean with a really large mountain range to the south of it. But it was a very subtropical region, think swampy. These trees were really large conifers that existed in that time. They don't exist anymore today, they're extinct. But you need to start to think of this now barren landscape as a wet swamp with alligator-like phytosauruses that chomped on anything. Scary stuff. So what happened is once these things were buried by the silt and ash over time, minerals replaced the actual organic matter with rock and crystals, like you see here. The outsides of the trees typically preserve their patterns really well, but you'll notice on a lot of the trees, like once you get on the inside, a lot of the detail is lost, and it's just a lot of crystals and rock. Okay, so rivers, buried logs, not quite dinosaurs, subtropical, swampy place. And how is this stuff still here today? Well, there's another trail here that I think really illustrates this better than giant logs. Let's go check it out. When you're done with giant logs, museum over there, don't miss something called long logs. You have to walk down this sidewalk and you're gonna find a trail over there. It's kind of, they don't really advertise it so well, I would say, but you're looking for signs for long logs or the Agate House. This way. Okay, so here's the trail, the long logs and Agate House. Basically, we're gonna take this almost half-mile stretch up here, and what I really wanna show you today is this, the long logs loop. Keep this aerial view of the log jam in your mind as we walk through and explore this area. It's kind of telling. And we're gonna see what you would expect here, some long logs, the site of an ancient river jam, a log jam. But yeah, just think about it. I'm standing in the middle of a log jam, 218 million years old. Can you see the logs? Some are partially buried, some are very exposed. Now the question about, has this stuff been exposed for 200 plus million years? The answer is no. We're standing on top of something called the Colorado Plateau. And if you've seen a few videos we made around the Mogollon Rim, the Mogollon Rim is the end of the Colorado Plateau, and if you're driving towards it, you just see a really big wall. So basically what you got here is just a region that was geologically uplifted, and then all of the top layers were eroded away until you get to the 200 million year old layer. We're standing in a 200 million year old landscape, exposed for us to enjoy today. Look at how colorful some of these crystals are that form the tree. You got purple in there, like rusty red. It's beautiful. Needless to say, you've seen it yourself. There are hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of little fragments of these things everywhere. It would be really easy to pick up one of these, stick it in a backpack, and then put it on display in your home. But of course, that's a big no-no. Don't do that. I think it's a federal crime too. And I would tattletale on you if I saw you do it. I promise. This here is a long log, maybe the star of the show. It's hard to even see how far it goes. It actually goes back like here. Long logs, folks. Long logs. Long logs. There's no better way to call that one, right? You get what you pay for here at Long Logs. That's for sure. Any way you look. Long freaking logs. All right, we are at quite possibly one of the most popular logs here in the park, the Agate Bridge. It's a bridge that's made out of a log, a petrified log. It's hard to believe, but at one point, that concrete support was not here. That was installed, I don't remember when, a long time ago. For better or for worse, I'm not sure. I mean, had they not put that concrete support under there, that thing probably would have come tumbling down by now. Especially when you look back in time and you could see pictures of people in the early 1900s standing on top of that, posing for their pictures, which you're no longer allowed to do. It's kind of too bad, because that would make a great Instagram photo, walking out in the middle of that thing and posing. Although the people that did that back in the day had to be pretty daring, because it'd be really easy to fall off of that. Now, it doesn't rain that much in the drier deserts of Arizona, but when it does, you can see this little gully here was carved out by water, and that's really how this thing got formed over time. Outside of just being really neat, this idea of the surface below being washed away and this thing basically supporting itself like a bridge. It's a really big specimen. We've talked about how some of these things could have grown up to 200 feet in height. And when you see something like this, you can believe it. I read a sign that said this particular specimen is 110 feet long, so almost half the size of how tall these things could have gotten. And I also read that the concrete support structure was made in 1917. That's over 100 years old, the actual support itself, which is kind of a cool, quirky piece of history, I guess. Well, folks, I can't think of a more fitting place to end this episode as I hold my hat down than the Agate Bridge here at Petrified Forest National Park. Probably the most fun and interesting specimen out of them all, I would say. But I hope you learned something today, and I hope I whetted your appetite and made you want to come visit this fine national park.